Hey guys, what's up? So today, new guitar, 1960s Silvertone Jupiter. Now, funny enough, I've wanted one of these for a very long time, and by long time I mean maybe 2 or 3 years, which is long for me to want a guitar and then not get it. But essentially, I was playing Warped Tour with a friend's band. Like, it wasn't my band, but I was filling in on bass. And one of the bands we watched, the lead singer, she was playing this like really cool, like, you know, kind of vintage looking guitar. What is that? Like, and I saw him like, you know, just riffing on it and just sounded so good. And I was like, I want one of those. So I did some research. And then coincidentally at the time I saw Eric Valentine did a video where he recreated the Queens of the Stone Age guitar tone. And he used this exact guitar. So I was pretty sold from that moment, but this was before I kind of discovered reverb.com, or was at least interested in using it. So it was basically a matter of me like hoping that one would show up, you know, in my local stores in Toronto, which, I mean, it took a while, and I think maybe I just forgot at a certain point because it had been so long. And then I saw this ad on Reverb, and it caught my eye. Like, this was months ago, actually. It caught my eye, and I'm like, something told me like, I'm gonna own that guitar. Like, I literally sent a picture to my bandmates and I'm like, yo guys, isn't this a sick guitar? Like, what if I got this? And they're like, yeah, that's sick. But, you know, time passed, I wasn't so sure on it. It was a really good price too, like just really, really good. It just kind of came back around. Reverb fed the ad back to me again. And the second or third time I saw it, maybe I just decided to start bidding on it. It's all history now. And this guitar is in my hands, my ownership. And I love it. Now let's just talk about the tone of this thing. I think it's pretty interesting. So it's got two de-Armand pickups, which I've heard a lot about, you know, great things. You know, some people apparently would take these guitars and just rip out the pickups, maybe put them in like a parts caster or some other guitar that has maybe like a P90 or mini humbucker sized route, which, like, I could understand. I think they suit this guitar incredibly, so I don't see a need to rip these out or put them in anything else. There were some issues with this guitar from the start, but I was kind of ready to deal with them. They told me the bridge is like, you know, is fine. Like, really spanky, good output. Like, I'd say somewhere in like a 7-8K output probably, but the neck pickup was a little weak apparently. As you can hear in comparison. So, but I honestly found a way to make it work for me. Like, I found actually with my setup the bridge pickup to be a bit too bright and spanky for my preference. So what I did instead is just go the neck pickup and then kick on my J-Rocket Archer to give it a bit of that boost and a bit more of that like treble bite that it needs. So I'll show you guys that in just a second. But yeah, so overall, like, it's very boxy sounding, and when you play it unplugged, I don't know if you could hear that, but it's very resonant and like spanky, like a banjo almost. It just reminds me of a banjo. And that's probably due to the stop bar, like the bridge design, and the semi-hollowness, and even just like how it's like a shorter scale as well. It's a 24-inch scale, I believe. Yeah, but it's very interesting. Way too many knobs, I'd say. Like, I don't need all this control. I mean, it's great. You have individual volume and tone knobs, and they're like separate. So it's like it says bass pickup, and you got like volume tone, treble pickup, volume tone, and then blender, which I don't know, like, it's basically just a volume knob for the middle position, which they call blender, but it, like, I don't know why you would need that. Can't you just... So, like, the volume and tone knobs don't really work when you're in the blender position, so you just get like a unified volume knob, I guess. I don't know. It's weird. Quirky guitar. I definitely think the hardest part about getting this thing playing right was the bridge, because it just fell right off. Like, I mean, it's typical for a guitar this age where, like, they're usually glued in, but eventually they'll just kind of come off. And then it's a matter of, like, literally just, like, moving it, like, a few centimeters to try and get the alignment right. And then also you have to mess with intonation, because your only really real way to intonate this thing is to just kind of, like, tilt it. So as you can see, I have it tilted a little bit, like on an angle, and that's where I found the intonation was best for the tunings that I use. But, you know, I've contemplated, say, gluing down the bridge in, like, you know, standard position where everything's exactly 24-inch scale and it's like completely straight, and then just getting a tune-o-matic or whatever style bridge. But the thing is, I've heard that, like, part of the tone of this thing comes from that wooden saddle and the warmth of it. I believe this is an ebony saddle. It's very dark, doesn't look like rosewood to me. And part of that banjo sound, that like super folky guitar sound, comes from the saddle and the bridge setup with the... It reminds me of the Jazz Master, where you have that extra string draw from the bridge to like where it rests. And it almost creates like a pseudo like spring reverb. If I just like play... There's a bit of like a resonance afterwards, which can be annoying if you're playing like really tight stuff, but I think it's cool for like open chords and finger picking. It just really like resonates well. So I'm gonna kick on some gain and just kind of have some fun with this. My final thoughts, you know, if you see one of these for a good price, I definitely recommend it. I got this for about 1,100 Canadian, which is pretty much almost half of what they usually go for, I'd say. Like, they're sometimes around 1,800 to 2 grand online, Canadian. So if you can find one for a good price, I definitely recommend it. They'll take some love to get, you know, to get playing right. You know, tuners are not great. Nuts might be shot or not. Pickups or electronics might not be working, but if you're willing to put the work in and either take it to someone get it repaired or do the work yourself, you're gonna end up with a nice vintage semi-hollow guitar that just sounds incredible. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I've been Simon, and take care. Peace.